Sam Pitroda has stepped down as overseas Congress chairman. Congress President Kharge has accepted Pitroda's resignation. The Congress says Pitroda resigned on his own accord. This comes after Pitroda sparked a huge controversy, again, with his comments on Indian ethnicities. And let me put that graphic out. In an interview with the National Daily, Pitroda spoke about how India is a shining example of democracy in the world, where people of different religions, values and customs exist together. While his statement may have been in good taste, his choice of words were perceived to be racists by many. And I would say that it was politically incorrect, if I may add. Completely politically incorrect. In totality, he might sound right, but in parts, I mean, who does that? Who says that? And I quote, we could hold together a country as diverse as India, where people on East look like Chinese. You know, it's like calling people from Northeast chinky, or it's like calling people from Northeast, oh, you look like Thai. You know, it's politically incorrect. Or people from West look like Arabs. Are you talking about the fat nose? Or people from North maybe white? I don't recall when was the last time I heard that the people from North India are white. I think wheatish was something which or the fair, if I'm not incorrect, Brijesh. Fair or wheatish. And people in South look like Africans. There's nothing wrong in looking like a African, but, and you know, despite the fact that 40% of the stock in subcontinent is from the African subcontinent, but African, but then
here the usage is pejorative.
Pejorative.
It's in
but you know, Prime Minister didn't lose this opportunity to attack the Congress party. He just hit hard.
ये शहजादे के फिलोसोफर एंड गाइड अंकल ने बड़ा रहस्य खोला है। उसने कहा है कि जिनका चमड़ी का रंग काला होता है, ये सब अफ्रीका के हैं। मतलब आप सबको, मेरे देश के अनेक लोगों को चमड़ी के रंग के आधार पर उन्होंने इतनी बड़ी गाली दे दी। तब जाकर के मुझे समझ आया कि चमड़ी का रंग देख करके उन्होंने मान लिया कि द्रौपदी मुर्मू भी अफ्रीकन है। चमड़ी का रंग काला है तो हराना चाहिए। ये सोच आज पहली बार मुझे तो पता चला कि ये दिमाग कहां काम कर रहा है इनका, ये देश को कहां ले जाएंगे। अरे चमड़ी का रंग कोई भी हो, हम तो श्री कृष्ण की पूजा करने वाले लोग हैं, जिसकी चमड़ी का रंग यहां हम सब जैसा रंग था।
This isn't the first time Pitroda has stirred controversy. Last month, his comments on the United States inheritance tax led to a political row. Pitroda suggested implementing a similar system in India. The Congress promptly distanced itself from Pitroda's statement. Now, it's an embarrassing thing, you know. Sam Pitroda is the person who has stirred controversy for the first time. In this debate, I'm joined by Sunita Jaiswal, Ravi Desai, author, political analyst. Sunita has been regular in our studio, consulting editor. And I hope Ajit and Jayanto also stay with me. But I'll straight away go to Rami Niranjan Desai. And then I'll go to Sunita later. But first, let me go to Ajit. Huge self-goal.
Total racism. This is worse than political ill-correctness. For a man like Sam Pitroda, who has lived abroad for so many years, I lived in the West for 21 years. This is nothing else but pure racism, stupidity of the biggest order. I think Pitroda is probably entering the dementia, era. And this is going to be as stupid a comment as Manishankar Iyer's niche comment against Prime Minister Modi. I think they should remove Pitroda. I'm glad they chucked out Pitroda, and he should be out of this debate. He's actually hurting the Congress much more. He's a pure liability for the Congress at this stage.
Brijesh.
Well, I think, thousands and thousands of Congress workers and, small-time padadhikaris would have heaved a collective sigh of relief when the news would have come that, Sam Pitroda has resigned and his resignation has been accepted. Normally in a party which is fighting elections like this and which is which has been pushed or marginalized in the entire country, when you have somebody like Sam Pitroda, do you actually need anybody or any opponent? And I think the kind of statement, earlier when he made a statement that how he's going to redistribute and talked about inheritance tax and all, which forced the Congress party, to go on a back foot and try to explain the entire gig, has further been embarrassed today. And the Prime Minister, naturally so, took a big advantage out of this. So I think, the Congress would be very, very relieved today when Sam Pitroda has resigned, and they would hope that at least for next 15-20 days, he just keeps his mouth zipped.
But then, Vijesh, there is also one issue. Why would Congress party allow Sam Pitroda to continue like this? It has taken them more than 5 years to take some action on Manishankar Iyer.
Well, I think, this reflects that when the power has started slipping out of your hand, and when as the top man, your writ doesn't run large on the party and people don't listen to you, then these kind of embarrassing moments statement starts coming out. They couldn't control Manishankar Iyer, they couldn't control anybody else who was willing to make a controversial statement. If the party was smart, if the party leadership felt that, that their writ run large, I think they would have read the Riot Act long back. I'm very surprised that after the inheritance tax fiasco, they actually waited this long to crack the whip on Manishankar Iyer, on Sam Pitroda.
Okay, let me run the bite of the Prime Minister again.
ये शहजादे के फिलोसोफर एंड गाइड अंकल ने बड़ा रहस्य खोला है। उसने कहा है कि जिनका चमड़ी का रंग काला होता है, ये सब अफ्रीका के हैं। मतलब आप सबको, मेरे देश के अनेक लोगों को चमड़ी के रंग के आधार पर उन्होंने इतनी बड़ी गाली दे दी। तब जाकर के मुझे समझ आया कि चमड़ी का रंग देख करके उन्होंने मान लिया कि द्रौपदी मुर्मू भी अफ्रीकन है। चमड़ी का रंग काला है तो हराना चाहिए। ये सोच आज पहली बार मुझे तो पता चला कि ये दिमाग कहां काम कर रहा है इनका, ये देश को कहां ले जाएंगे। अरे चमड़ी का रंग कोई भी हो, हम तो श्री कृष्ण की पूजा करने वाले लोग हैं, जिसकी चमड़ी का रंग यहां हम सब जैसा रंग था।
Big development has taken place. Sam Pitroda has quit. It has not taken Congress party more than 1 hour to accept his resignation. Maybe he was asked to resign, who knows. Let me straight away go to Rami Niranjan Desai. Rami, huge big self-goal.
Karthikeya, before it being even a self-goal, I have to say it is the most condemnable thing that I have ever heard. This is completely being tone deaf, but it is reflective of what we have seen over and over again, the Congress leadership and ideologues of Congress say these things. It's completely divisive. Sam Pitroda is not some small, karyakarta of the Congress. He's a senior leader. He's advisor to the prince himself, Rahul Gandhi. So you can only imagine if this sort of tone deafness is said with so much of casual sort of relay of information, without a care in the world or realizing that might be offensive, what must be happening in personal private conversations. Considering he was a member of the manifesto committee, it puts a shiver down my spine. This is actually criminal. Calling people, by their race is actually criminal. It was in 2016-17, I remember the Home Ministry even directed people to book people making such derogatory remarks. So, I have no idea what is going on here in terms of how you could say something with such casualness. But, him stepping down is not good enough, because obviously this is a reactionary thing. None of the Congress leaders condemned this at the outset. Only when it picked up speed did they feel that it was necessary. So for me, him stepping down, not stepping down is, irrelevant. The fact that has come to light is this is the mentality, this is the mindset, and this is how the Congress party and its elite leadership view this country and the people of this country. This is a colonial lens, Karthike. Race never existed as any sort of a divisive marker in this country before the British came in and included it in the census. This is what the Congress legacy is, and they've done this over and over again. Segregate people as if it wasn't bad enough to segregate people on the basis of religion and caste. Now they've brought this racial lens as well. So they're willing to do anything to be able to counter the BJP and Prime Minister Modi, whatever it takes. And I cannot condemn this strongly enough.
Okay, Sunita. Big self-goal, Chaiwala movement? Okay, we'll go to Sunita. Jayanto, you are there with me?
Yes, indeed.
So, is this like Chaiwala thing?
It cannot be compared, Karthike. I do not think we should talk about goals or about being politically correct or incorrect. It's downright casteist. This kind of remarks are not acceptable anywhere. What about looks? How can you comment on someone's looks and his lineage or her lineage? This is not done at all. But, since the past few years, we have been noticing that some of the comments that he has been making, some of which you are running also right now, he has been putting his foot firmly in his mouth and did not even try to take it out. And that is what have been happening. Inheritance tax, I would say something personal. What about the 1984 anti-Sikh riots? Ab kya hua? Is that kind of a reaction that you make in such incident? I think it is good riddance right now that Sam Pitroda is off the bandwagon, but I think this is going to haunt the Congress, especially
I have a trick question for Sunita. Sunita, but the trick question is, but I since said it's a trick question, it's no more a trick. Who is more happy, Congress or Bharatiya Janata Party? Okay. So, Brijesh, who is more happy? Congress?
I started my statement by saying that, the second that news came that Sam Pitroda has resigned, thousands and lakhs of Congress workers must have heaved a collective sigh of relief. Because, there are office bearers also, when you call them, they are baffled that how can in the middle of an election, in which there is a certain kind of narrative which is being built, someone can come in and with one comment literally torpedoes it. It's unthinkable that an educated person like him will make a comment which is, I completely agree with Rami, it's downright criminal. There can be a police case against Sam Pitroda filed against him for making these kind of downright racist statements.
Okay, fair enough. You can say if I'm wrong. Does it smack of, elitism? In a crude language, a lot of people can say, well, this is left liberalism. Left and liberalism are two different words in English language. They mean two different things. If you're a liberal, you cannot be a left. And left and liberal are two different things. Does it smack of elitism? I feel the framing smacks of elitism. When Manishankar Iyer said it, a lot of people said it's politically incorrect. I said it's more elitism. What he said is politically incorrect. I stand by my statement. Larger point is different, but it smacks of elitism. The framing smacks of elitism.
Karthik, I think you are actually being very polite. You are a thoroughbred gentleman. This is worse than elitism. This is pure and simple racism. I think someone in America should take Sam Pitroda legally to court, because this is considered downright criminal and racist. You cannot speak in terms of race in this manner. and it is going to hurt the Congress very badly. The question that you earlier asked, I think, Brijesh, that what was Congress relying on for so long? Why was Rahul Gandhi relying on for so long on this demented, purely crazy man? And I think the reason is because Pitroda probably has a long innings in America. He has a massive influence among the diaspora, and he was actually helping Rahul Gandhi organize these various lectures across at Stanford and Santa Cruz and New York and other areas. That's why he was useful to the Congress. But this guy should be thrown away from the campaign 100%. As I said, his statement is going to hurt the Congress, like Manishankar Iyer's niche comment. And this is real. I mean, right now the BJP is going to pounce on this and try and change the entire debate. So yes, of course, as you rightly said, elitist, but worse than elitist, it is pure racist, criminal talk. He should be taken to
Sunita, I'm trying to make a final attempt to come to you. I know, the tech part is playing funny with me. So my first question was, is Congress more happy or the BJP? But now I said it smacks of elitism, and Ajit says it's pure play racism.
Yes, it is. And I think whether parties are happy or unhappy, we all are very unhappy, because this is something which cannot be tolerated at all. And from someone who's a person, he was trying to put something nice, unity in diversity, comparison that he did, the analogy that he gave. Couldn't he think of a better one? I think somehow Sam Pitroda, if you look at his past utterances, he has a habit of putting his foot in his mouth and creating embarrassment. But Congress decided pretty late. It's a late, delayed decision. But best that he has gone. And in an election where every word, forget election, I personally think that nobody has any right to do body shaming or talk about it, color and other things. It's all looks. It's awful. I can only say this.
Rami, you wanted to come in? Rami?
Yeah, Karthikeya, I agree with all of what all of you have said. But, I have to say that this responsibility cannot just be on Sam Pitroda's shoulders, because Rahul Gandhi, his family and the Congress party have had a legacy of divisive rule. Let me talk about the Northeast. The idea of excluded, included areas that the British brought in, the Congress continued. Tribal areas would be excluded, resulting in unequal development between the two countries. There was the ILP, which they continued, so this is a colonial problem with the British. Their lens is technically and intrinsically an outsider's lens, not an insider's lens. That's why it took them so long to put somebody like Sam Pitroda out of the greater game. He was still a part of the membership, the manifesto committee. Apart from that, Rahul Gandhi himself has made very divisive remarks, and that responsibility has to go on the leadership of the Congress. Whether he's manipulated the North-South so-called divide, or, when he went to the Northeast, he asked his Methi workers not to enter the Kuki areas. He said this is a two-state. So these sort of divisive comments have been natural for them. They have not been ashamed of it, only because they've come under pressure now, and because the word racist is attached to it, which is globally condemned, have they bothered to sack Sam Pitroda. However, behind the scenes, I'm sure he will have continued influence, and these kind of discussions will prevail. The only good thing that has come out of this debate, Karthikeya, my last point, is the fact that they have exposed themselves without a doubt about their divisive intentions towards this country and its people.
Brijesh, is it going to be as effective as Chaiwala, Nietzsche and other comments, because they were directly impinging on the Prime Minister, or this vagueness is just a big embarrassment? It's like something you would like to hide your face, but not impinge on the campaign. Do you see those nuances, or you think no?
I don't think that this comment will create the same kind of wave as a Chaiwala comment did or a Nietzsche comment did. But one thing is there, that yes, Congress party is hugely embarrassed, and the BJP will try their level best to make sure that, you know, it drives. I'm speaking purely for electoral political purposes.
So you see
and
that
nothing,
it's not going to happen?
I don't see this is going to happen. This is going to have a great traction because, you know, tomorrow or day after they will go back to Adani, Ambani, and also the change of constitution and all. But yes, it is a big self goal in the sense that, you know, that it has given a BJP a handle to beat the Congress party with, and the Congress party realized that if they allow Sam Pitroda to continue anymore, so they have tried to cut their losses by asking Sam Pitroda to resign, which they have, and Kharge has accepted his resignation.
Sunita, again the same question. Do you think that there will be 6 degrees of separation? I think a huge damage has been done.
No, I don't think so. It's a damage because if you look at our rural areas, perhaps the discussion, how much they'll understand it. But I think the young leadership of Congress should have condemned it. One action or removal is not enough. It would have been better if Rahul or Priyanka had dissociated, had made a statement on this. That would have been, welcomed. That would have been some relief, not welcome, some relief to the people who are hurt by such utterances.
But you know, there is also one more thing, Brijesh, before I go to Rami. There's an element of indiscipline, or a lot of people would say, no, it's Congress is democratic, but there's this disorganized aspect of the Congress campaign. You know, someone can actually derail the campaign. BJP, it doesn't happen like that.
Well, it doesn't happen like that. Why? Because Kartikeya, when the central leadership is very strong, everyone falls in line.
Correct.
You know, people say that how come, the Prime Minister or the Home Minister or the organization is able to effect such massive changes in particular states and nobody does any kind of raises or does any kind of protest. It is because the central leadership is strong. With these kind of statements and loose statements reflects only one thing, that there is no such thing called central leadership right now as we speak. If you look at the minnows who are making exits from the Congress party to BJP and the kind of statement or the kind of broadsides they are making against Rahul Gandhi and the Gandhi family, it reflects one thing very clearly, that they are right now not at the top of their game. And there is no such thing as a central leadership for the Congress. There are people who accept Gandhi family, and you know, I have said this several times. 2024 election, if the Congress party loses it as badly as it did in 2019, there are going to be million mutinies in the Congress party the second it happens, because right now almost everybody is sitting on fences waiting for the final result.
Okay, you know, Rami, I would like to understand this from you. You know, there is no comparison between Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi as of now. For one simple reason, this is a man who's got 2 mandates after Rajiv Gandhi, one after another, simple majority. But in this election, Prime Minister is directly addressing Rahul Gandhi. In the first election, you know, it was supposed to be done like that. But in second election, it was not done like that. And then through last 5 years, there was a difference in the stature. But suddenly, after the first phase, it is becoming a sort of a face-off. Why is it happening in this election when that comparison ceased to exist?
Kartikeya, in my opinion, the reason that this is happening, as you correctly said, that there isn't a comparative point. You know, we all know that Rahul is not a challenge to the Prime Minister, but we also know that the Prime Minister comes with a very hefty sort of responsibility of having to continuously counter these divisive statements, you know, and therefore, you know, it is now being perceived by some people as no longer innocent. You know, what Rahul Gandhi says is no longer innocent. It is insidious, and it does have malice attached to it, which is based on this divisive agenda of theirs. You know, now whether it is because this is the Congress policy, this is how they think, or Rahul Gandhi doesn't have a grasp of it, or because this is their game plan, because as each election goes by, they start becoming more and more desperate. You know, let me remind you that, you know, Rahul Gandhi and his party were the people who backed the Tukre gang. Today we know what sort of responsibility Kanhaiya Kumar has got, you know, who was the face of it. So basically what has happened is the Congress, which backed the Tukre gang, has become the Tukre gang, you know. And I think this is why it's become very important for the Prime Minister to, you know, straight up counter the kind of remarks that are now coming out of him, because this is becoming not just a, you know, a challenge for national unity, you know, but also for national security.
Okay, Sunita, the same question, this wasn't supposed to be a direct contest. There's a stature difference between Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi. But if you look at the last 7 days, it has become PM and Rahul Gandhi, PM and Rahul Gandhi, which was as the playbook people would have conceived before the first phase of election. It shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, because I think PM is also responding and reacting to what Rahul is saying. Like today only, he reacted very strongly to Sam Pitroda's utterances and even made some comments on Congress opposition to Draupadi Murmu's nomination for the president's post. Now, that was a very, very strong attack by the Prime Minister. Look, to be very frank, there is no comparison. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is a very experienced leader. He's a very good orator. He's very articulate. And he covers up follies of his own party's junior leaders. Like yesterday, Rajasthan Deputy CM talked about, again commented on the constitution.
Okay.
But here in Congress, the leadership is lacking and they're not reacting to it so strongly because like they should have done it in
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. There is no comparison. But my understanding is Rahul Gandhi, by forcing Prime Minister to react to him, tells me as a journalist that there is play in this election. I mean to say, it doesn't tell me that how hard the play is. BJP has huge advantage over Congress. There is no debate, there is no doubt about it. But even if Congress is able to improve 10 seats, and I'll put this on record, from 52 it can become 64, then there's a play in the election, that someone has improved. And if BJP is able to do that, from 303 it becomes 3013, it's a fantastic job. But then if it becomes from 303, it becomes to 271. Prime Minister has his government, but it becomes a matter of prestige. It's like Gujarat election. वो Congress election हार के भी जीत गई और BJP जीत के भी हार गई. So it's a matter of perception. But yes, there is a play. How strong is the play? Only the voter knows. How big will be the victory of BJP? Only voter knows. But if there is a play, as a journalist, I am very happy that there's a lot of fun to cover the election, because when the election process started, I thought this is a playless election and we will just moonwalk through it. And I'm happy that I'm not moonwalking through this or serenading through this election. There is some debate and discussion happening. Rami, thank you so much for joining me. And Sunita, thank you so much. Thank you, Brijesh.